We are on to part two of chapter 21. So, again, almost done with this book. It's day 153. We're on Wednesday, May 6th. And today we're going to be working on character traits. So, for our story today, I'm sorry, I wanted to make sure I had the right chapter in there for a second. So remember, character traits are what a character's personality is like. And we look at their thoughts, words, and actions to help us determine what word we would use to describe their character trait. So I want you to think about the character's thoughts, words, and actions. That's step one. Ask yourself, what do their thoughts, words, and actions tell me about their personality? So you have to think about your background knowledge. Like, what do you know about a person who is determined? What are they doing? What do you know about a person who is rude? Like, right? Like, think about what would those people be saying, thinking, and doing. And then find your evidence to support your answer. So we will read and then come back to do one together. And then, sorry, I wanted to make sure I know. And then we'll be done with this chapter today. It's a shorter one today because this is just part two, and part one was a little bit longer. So, chapter 21, I Settle My Tabs, part two. So, if you remember, I'm sorry, I should preface this before. If you remember, that chapter ended with Percy talking to his father. He was up in Olympus, in that beautiful place above the city of Manhattan, New York. And now he's coming back down. Okay? I Settle My Tabs, part two. 15 minutes later, still in a trance, I was back on the streets of Manhattan. I caught my taxi to my mom's apartment, rang the doorbell, and there she was, my beautiful mother, smelling of peppermint and licorice, and the weariness and worry evaporating from her face as soon as she saw me. Percy! Oh, thank goodness! Oh, my baby! She crushed the air right out of me. We stood in the hallway as she cried and ran her hands through my hair. I'll admit it, my eyes were a little misty too. I was shaking. I was so relieved to see her. She told me that she just appeared at the apartment that morning, scaring Gabe half out of his wits. She didn't remember anything since the Minotaur, and couldn't believe it was when Gabe told her I was a wanted criminal, traveling across the country, blowing up national monuments. She'd been going out of her mind with worry all day because she hadn't heard the news. Gabe had forced her to go into work, saying that she had a month's salary to make up, and she'd better get started. I swallowed back my anger and told my mother my own story. I tried to make it sound less scary than it had been, but that wasn't easy. I was just getting to the fight with Ares when Gabe's voice interrupted from the living room. Hey, Sally, that meatloaf's done yet, or what? She closed her eyes. He isn't going to be happy to see you, Percy. The store got 500,000 phone calls today from Los Angeles. Something about free appliances. Oh, yeah, about that. She managed a weak smile. Just don't make him angrier, all right? Come on. In the month I'd been gone, the apartment had turned into Gabeland. Garbage was ankle deep on the carpet. The sofa had been reupholstered in beer cans. Dirty socks and underwear hung off the lampshades. Gabe and three of his big, goony friends were playing poker at the table. When Gabe saw me, his cigar dropped out of his mouth. His face got redder than lava. You got nerve coming here, you little punk. I thought the police... He's not a fugitive after all, my mom interjected. Isn't that wonderful, Gabe? Gabe looked back and forth between us. He didn't seem to think my homecoming was so wonderful. Bad enough I had to give back your life insurance, Sally, he growled. Get me the phone. I'll call the cops. Gabe, no. He raised his eyebrows. Did you just say no? You think I'm going to put up with this punk again? I can still press charges against him for ruining my Camaro. But... He raised his hand and my mother flinched. For the first time, I realized something. Gabe had hit my mother. I didn't know when or how much, but I was sure he'd done it. Maybe it had been going on for years when I wasn't around. A balloon of anger started expanding in my chest. I came toward Gabe instinctively, taking my pen out of my pocket. He just laughed. What, punk? Are you going to write on me? You touch me, and you are going to jail forever. You understand? Hey, Gabe, his friend Eddie interrupted. He's just a kid. Gabe looked at him resentfully and mimicked in a falsetto voice. Just a kid? His other friends laughed like idiots. I'll be nice to you, punk. Gabe showed me his tobacco-stained teeth. I'll give you 5 minutes to get your stuff and clear out. After that, I call the police. Gabe, my mother pleaded. He ran away, Gabe told her. Let him go. Or let him stay gone. I was itching to uncap Riptide, but even if I did, the blade wouldn't hurt humans. And Gabe, by the loosest definition, was a human. My mom took my arm. Please, Percy, come on, we'll go to your room. I let her pull me away, my hands still trembling with rage. My room had become completely filled with Gabe's junk. I here were stacks of used car batteries, a rotting bouquet of sympathy flowers, with a card from somebody who'd seen his Barbara Walters interview. Gabe is just upset, honey, my mother told me. I'll talk to him later. I'm sure it will all work out. Mom, it'll never work out. Not as long as Gabe's here. She wrung her hands nervously. I'll take you to work with me for the rest of the summer. In fall, maybe there's another boarding school. Mom. She lowered her eyes. I'm trying, Percy. I just need some time. So pause there. So I'm going to highlight this section right here. And this is the area we're going to be looking at for question number 1. So if you look here, it says, based on her thoughts, based on his thoughts, words, and actions, what character trait best describes Gabe? Highlighted in yellow. So in here, he's saying a lot, right? He's calling him a punk. He's yelling at his mom. Through Percy's thoughts, we can see that he may have hurt his mother at some point. He's making his mom work after she's been gone, and like the day she got back, like not even asking her how she was or where she's been, just like, you got to get to work right away. And he says some mean things, like he's going to call the cops on him. He also says, I'd give your life insurance money back, Sally. So instead of being like happy to see her, he's mad that he's losing money. What else did he say down here? He's like, intimidating a child. What punk are you going to write on me? You touch me and you're going to jail forever. So like this is his stepfather, and he's saying all these mean things to him. So it's mostly what he says, right? So based on what he said, is he being funny? No, he's definitely not being funny. He's being not very nice. Is he being cruel? So cruel means kind of mean or rude or unkind, right? Cruel. Determined, meaning you're like hardworking, and content, meaning you're just like, you're okay. So he's definitely not funny. He's definitely not hardworking. He's sitting at home and playing poker with his friends. And he is probably not okay because he seems pretty mad. So I would definitely say he's cruel. He is a mean person based on his words. And some of the things that he said, there's more than just that, but one thing that he said was, bad enough I had to give you back your life insurance money, Sally. He growled, growling also, like being a mean tone. Get me the phone, I'll call the cops. And then he wants to call the cops on him. So definitely his words are showing that he is a cruel person. The next one you're going to be working on is Percy's mom, so it's going to be after this, the next part of the story that we read. I want you to be thinking of what word would you use to describe Percy's mom and why. All right, my mother took my arm. Please, Percy, come on, we'll go to your room. I let her pull me away, my hands still trembling with rage. My room had been completely filled with Gabe's junk. In here were stacks of used car batteries, a rotting bouquet of sympathy flowers, and a card with somebody who'd seen his Barbara Walters interview. Gabe is just upset, honey, my mother told him. I'll talk to him later. I'm sure it will work out. Mom, it'll never work out. Not as long as Gabe is here. She wrung her hands nervously. I'll take you to work with me for the rest of this summer. In the fall. Maybe there's another boarding school. Mom, she lowered her eyes. I'm trying, Percy. I need some time. A package appeared on my bed. At least I could have sworn it had been there hadn't been there a moment before. It was a battered cardboard box, the right size to fit a basketball. The address on the mailing slip was in my own handwriting. The Gods, Mount Olympus, 600th floor, Empire State Building, New York, New York. With best wishes, Percy Jackson. So what did he mail? Let's think back. Oh, Medusa's head. And if you remember, there's something important about Medusa's head, and his dad said he was going to mail this back to him. So his dad sent this to him, okay? Over the top of the black marker, in a man's clear, bold print, the address of our apartment and the words, "Return to sender." Suddenly I understood what Poseidon had told me on Olympus. A package, a decision. Whatever else you do, know that you are mine. You are a true son of God. I looked at my mother. Mom, do you want Gabe gone? Percy, it isn't just that simple. Mom, just tell me. That jerk has been hitting you. Do you want him gone or not? She hesitated, then nodded almost imperceptibly. Imperceptibly. Yes, Percy, I do. And I am trying to get up the courage to tell him, but you can't do this for me. You can't solve my problems. I looked at the box. I could solve her problems. I wanted to slice that package open, plop it on the poker table, and take out whatever was inside. I could start my very own statue garden right there in the living room. Because if you remember, when Medusa looked at somebody, it turned them into a statue. So let's see what they're going to do. That's what a Greek hero would do in the stories, I thought. That's what Gabe deserves. But a hero's story always ends up in tragedy. Poseidon had told me that. I remembered the underworld. I thought about Gabe's spirit drifting forever in the fields of Asphodel, or condemned to some hideous torture behind the barbed wire of the fields of punishment, an eternal poker game, sitting up to his waist in boiling oil, listening to opera music. Did I have the right to send someone there, even Gabe? A month ago, I wouldn't have hesitated. Now, I can do it, I told my mom. One look inside this box and he'll never bother you again. She glanced at the package and seemed to understand immediately. No, Percy, she said, stepping away. You can't. Poseidon called you a queen, I told her. He said he hadn't met a woman like you in 1,000 years. Her cheeks flushed. Percy, you deserve better than this, Mom. You should go to college, get a degree. You can write your own novel, meet a nice guy maybe, live in a nice house. You don't need to protect me anymore by staying with Gabe. Let me get rid of him. She wiped a tear off her cheek. You sound so much like your father, she said. He offered to stop the tide for me once. He offered to build me a palace at the bottom of the sea. He thought he could solve all my problems with a wave of his hand. What's wrong with that? Her multicolored eyes seemed to search inside of me. I think you know, Percy. I think you're enough like me to understand. If my life is going to mean anything, I have to live it. Myself. I can't let a god take care of me, or my son. I have to find the courage on my own. Your quest has reminded me of that. We listened to the sound of poker chips whirring ESPN on the living room television. I'll leave the box, I said, if he threatens you. She looked pale, but she nodded. Where will you go, Percy? Half-Blood Hill. For the summer or forever? I guess that depends. We locked eyes, and I sensed that we had an agreement. We would see how things stood at the end of the summer. She kissed my forehead. You'll be a hero, Percy. You'll be the greatest of all. I took one last look around my bedroom. I had a feeling I'd never see it again. Then I walked with my mother to the front door. Leaving so soon, punk? Gabe called after me. Good riddance. I had one last twinge of doubt. How could I turn down the perfect chance to take revenge on him? I was leaving here without saving my mother. Hey, Sally, he yelled. What about my meatloaf, huh? A steely look of anger flared in my mother's eyes, and I thought, just maybe, I was leaving her in good hands after all. Her own. The meatloaf is coming right up, my dear, she told Gabe. Meatloaf surprise. She looked at me and winked. The last thing I saw as the door swung closed was my mother staring at Gabe, as if she were contemplating how he would look as a garden statue. So now you are going to think about this part of the story. So I'm going to highlight this in orange. Oops, I'm going to do a lighter orange so you can see it better. So you're going to reread over that and answer the question, based on her thoughts, words, and action, what character trait best describes Percy's mom? Wicked, meaning like evil. Humorous, meaning funny. Independent, meaning able to do things on our own. Smart, we know what smart means. So I want you to choose your answer, write your answer right here, and then make sure your text evidence is here. You will not get credit if you don't complete your text evidence. You need to write here. So I'm going to actually put this here. Type answer below. Okay. That is your assignment for today. And for tomorrow, we will move on to the final chapter. All right. Bye.